Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome back to another World Cup video, where today we're going to be talking about why the 2022 World Cup will go down as the best World Cup of all time, why it is better than every World Cup that has happened before it, and why it might just surpass every World Cup coming our way.
No way!
But of course, before we jump into that, I do want to congratulate both Argentina and Lionel Messi on finally winning the World Cup. And on top of that, I do want to congratulate France for making it to the final, proving all their doubters and haters wrong, breaking the World Cup curse. The 2022 World Cup will definitely go down in history. And as I said in today's video, we're going to be talking about why I believe it is the best World Cup of all time, because I believe there are so many factors to it. Once again, before we jump into that, I do of course want to thank all of you guys for your support leading up to the World Cup and during the World Cup. I mean, my channel has grown exponentially. The goal is still 10,000 subscribers in the near future. But once again, thank you so much for your support up till this point. If you're not subscribed, please make sure to subscribe. But jumping straight into why I believe the 2022 World Cup will be written down not just in the history books, but in stone, is because looking at it, even if you're not a huge football fan, one thing you do like to see is goals. And what did the 2022 World Cup have? It had goals, and in fact, they had more goals than any World Cup before it. A total of 172 goals, the times the ball hit the back of the net, including 2.68 goals per average per game. That is insane to think about. 2.68 goals on average per game is absolutely mental. One thing we didn't have during this competition was boring football. Yes, I know, I think we also had more 0-0 draws than any World Cup before it, but once again, it's because the level of football played nowadays is such a high level. Of course, beyond that, we had some brilliant surprises throughout this tournament. I mean, just to name a few, an African nation like Morocco, to beat the likes of Belgium, to beat the likes of Spain, to beat the likes of Portugal, with around an average of 35% possession throughout the competition is massive. We obviously had Saudi Arabia beating the eventual winners Argentina, we had France versus Tunisia, Spain versus Japan, Brazil versus Cameroon. The World Cup was full of surprises, and once again, this was a tournament that really proved to us that nothing is guaranteed. The fact that football will always find a way to surprise us, and once again, I think this tournament was so special in doing so. I think it was definitely better than the 2018 World Cup final, where, let's be honest, yes, although Croatia is an absolutely phenomenal team, obviously reaching the two semi-finals in the two previous World Cups, at the end of the day, lots of people expected France to win it, where this time around, it genuinely was down to the toss of a coin. What a brilliant tournament it was, and it was so extremely close. I mean, we'll jump into the final in a second, but once again, as I said, looking at some of the surprise results, we definitely didn't see a lot of it coming. Also, on top of that, in terms of some upsets, we had some major teams not even making it out the group stage. With the likes of, obviously, Germany, it's their second World Cup in a row where they haven't made it out the group stage. We had Belgium, who still have lots of members of their golden generation. Don't forget, this is Thibaut Courtois, who just won goalkeeper of the season in Europe. We've got Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, who's still brilliant for his national team. Although, once again, as I said, I'm not sure he hit the target whatsoever. I think he missed 4 shots coming off the bench for Belgium. But saying that, once again, as I said, some major surprises, and we saw a lot of pride from nations that we don't normally see a lot of pride from. Or I mean, we always see pride from some of these nations, but we saw some real efforts. I mean, looking at Africa, this is the first time an African nation has ever reached a semi-final to a World Cup. As I said, Morocco earlier beating some absolute giants in the world of football to prove absolutely everyone wrong. It is a star-studded squad, and Africa is finally getting the recognition they deserve. It was just the fact that they lost to eventual finalist France at the end, reaching the semi-final, but once again, Africa, the furthest they've ever made it, and they did their continent proud. But saying that, it's not just Africa that surprised everyone, because looking at Asia as well, although no one made it past the round of 16, this was the first time ever that 3 Asian nations made it to the knockout stages. Once again, I think this was an incredible World Cup. I think a lot of people wanted the World Cup to fail, but I do believe all countries, or many countries from every single continent around the world, gave some kind of pride to play for. I do think leading up to this World Cup, many people wanted it to fail. Of course, we had the alcohol ban just days before the World Cup arrived. We had the whole controversy around the World Cup in general, obviously maybe a tiny bit of money under the table, and I do think a lot of people wanted this World Cup to fail, especially early days in terms of the no pride armbands. I think a lot of people wanted this World Cup to fail, but this World Cup really proved that it didn't want to fail, that it could hold surprises in it. Obviously, looking at the final itself, it all goes down to the final day of the tournament, and this is where it really impressed me. As I said, this was arguably the best game of football I've watched watched in my entire life. I mean, Argentina going 2-0 up against France, things seem to be totally over. Kylian Mbappe scores 2 goals in 97 seconds. How mental was that? Of course, Lionel Messi gets another one. It seems to be the winner. And once again, France come back and Kylian Mbappe gets a hat-trick.
And of course, I love this game!
Once again, I mean, just to show how brilliant it was of a football match, I mean, to get a hat-trick in a World Cup final, the first hat-trick in a World Cup final since 1966, and your team doesn't end up winning is absolutely absurd to think about.
I get the step, he must get the step. I get the clock radio, he cannot afford. Great success.
I think maybe the only criticism some people would have about this World Cup is that it wasn't a Ronaldo-Messi final and that it didn't end the all-great debates, but I do believe that this ended the great debate. I mean, how was that for a final? This was the final that really kind of separated the Messi-Ronaldo debate in my decision. Once again, Lionel Messi was absolutely brilliant, and it was almost more special or right, in my opinion, that it should have been Mbappe versus Messi, as opposed to Messi versus Ronaldo. To be frank with you, I am a Manchester United fan. I should support Ronaldo, but the realistic thing is, or the real life thing about this whole situation is the fact that Ronaldo is no longer at his peak. I think we as football fans deserve 2 players at their peak, and that might just be Messi and Mbappe. Once again, an absolute masterclass from both of them. And once again, as I said, I think this is the moment that truly put Lionel Messi at the top of the pedestal. One of the best games of all time. I mean, we saw crying, we saw dancing, we saw funny moments. What more could you ask for in football? All for it to go down to the penalty shootout. And once again, we saw some absolute heroes. Once again, some real moments of redemption. And this is what football's all about, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of people out there are going to be saying that, yeah, there was a lot of corruption and they hated the World Cup. But I think a lot of that goes down to the fact that your team got knocked out early. I mean, England got knocked out a lot earlier than many people wanted. Once again, Brazil got knocked out super early. Ghana knocked out early. We saw a lot of top nations being knocked out early. But at the end of the day, once again, if you take the biasness out of it, which I believe you do have to do that to look at the World Cup as a whole, I do believe that it will go down as the best in history. I think a huge factor is lots of people wanted at least one of the GOATs to win the World Cup. And that's happened now. Either Messi or Ronaldo. Messi has finally won a World Cup. And at 35 years old to play 120 minutes of football, I mean, how great is that? I mean, I think even if Ronaldo won it with Portugal, I think it would have gone down as the best of all time. Because once again, I think we always wanted at least one of the GOATs to do it. And once again, it just happened now. I mean, it begs the question, could Messi win another Ballon d'Or? I do believe that is a question for a different time. But once again, whether you're from Europe, South America, North America, Africa, wherever you're from, Asia, I think everyone did their nation so incredibly proud. I absolutely loved every single minute of this World Cup. But hey, once again, as I said, maybe that's just my opinion. I know, I mean, I'm only 21 years old. I haven't, believe it or not, watched every single World Cup out there.
Oh, really?
And I know a lot of people watching this channel might have watched a lot more World Cups than me. So of course, if you did do so, and you do believe you've seen a better World Cup than this one, and once again, don't just say it because your nation won it, do let me know down below. Once again, thank you so much for your support, guys. Do obviously subscribe if you have not subscribed. Do like if you haven't. As I said, this was full of some absolutely beautiful moments. From Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, we even saw an Ochoa penalty save, which I think everyone asked for. Once again, there were so many tiny moments that I could pick at throughout this entire journey at the World Cup. 16 yellow cards between Argentina and Netherlands. I mean, moments just keep on springing to mind at me. Once again, we saw a lot of surprises. We saw kind of that almost moment of revenge between Ghana and Uruguay. It was finally the two teams meeting again. Unfortunately, didn't quite go in Ghana's favor. But as I said, I think everyone who went to this World Cup did themselves so incredibly proud. Guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, all of the good stuff. I'll see you very, very soon with a brand new video. And yeah, once again, as I said, congratulations to Argentina and Lionel Messi. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been your boy, Finn, FYNN. World Cup is officially over. Cheers.